Table Talk is not your typical D&D TTRPG podcast. We are not here to run you through our whole campaign.
We're here to talk about everything else in the space of tabletop roleplay.
I'm your host, Alejandra Wilhelm.
And I'm also your host, Mariah Gresham.
And we're your tabletop roleplay girlies. All right, and we are live at it with another episode of Table Talk. Welcome back. It's just us, your favorite tabletop girly hosts, with me, Alejandra, and your other host,
Me, Mariah.
Hell yeah. And today we have something kind of interesting and different, a little thing that we picked up during PAX.
Yes.
And we were going to do a little character creation with y'all. So, Mariah, you want to tell us a little bit about what we're going to do today?
Yes. So we are using a game called the Session Zero system by Elise. Oh, Lord. I'm terrible with names. So
I think it's Elise Resendez or Resendez.
Resendez.
Yeah.
Okay. So we are using the Session Zero system by Elise Resendez. Excuse me. I'm terrible with names, and that's the best. I'm literally just a girl. But what it is it's a really cool little game system that can help you either build characters, build worlds, kind of build whatever you want. So if you have no idea what you want to play, which, like, we play in a lot of one-shots and streams, and we're like, what? And God, I feel like I've played everything. Like, it's a fun place to start because it can just give you some ideas, especially because, like, all the cards have, like, really beautiful imagery on them. And so, like, a lot of times that can spark the creative juices. So there are 3 decks. There's a legacy deck, a bond deck, and a catalyst. Why was that? My brain was
Cataclysm.
my brain was going cataclysm, and then I cut it and I was like, cataclysm. I'm like, that's not a word. And then I looked at it and I was like, yep. I was sick over the weekend. I'm tired. And then each of those cards have a little blurb about them to sort of help you flesh out your character, your setting, or whatever. So what we're going to be doing for this session is we're going to roll a digital D20 die, pray for us all, because those tend to hate us.
I know, right?
But just for ease, I need a bigger desk. I don't have it yet.
We don't have enough real estate.
We truly do not. And then we're going to pull that card, describe it to y'all, and then read the corresponding little notation about it.
Yeah.
And it should be fun. We'll see what baby we come up with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've done it before because we use this so I've ruminated a bit and fantasized about what are we gonna fucking do once Strixhaven is done?
Yeah.
And whether that would become like an actual play that we record and produce, because we have a really great table.
Yeah.
But we don't want to show off Strixhaven because it's like a very private
It's like
game.
our baby.
It's our baby. And, we didn't start that campaign with the objective of it being consumed by the public. So I wouldn't want to compromise the level of roleplay that happens at our table because now it's being perceived.
Yes.
But everyone's in agreement that, like, if we start a campaign with the idea from the start that we're going to be producing it for consumption,
we would all be down for that.
You'd all be down.
Yeah, it's a little different when, like, someone's watching you versus when it's just like the other 3 idiots that like love you and like
me and the other raccoons in this trench coat.
And maybe like Ollie's mom just in the kitchen like washing dishes or whatever. Yeah. Like, yeah, or like getting out like a Walmart bag. Like whatever is happening.
For sure.
But yeah.
But yeah, we use this as like a little playing around space with character creation for Mariah, since she was like the one I wanted to kind of test it out with. And then also building the world, which we may do another episode where we show how to build a world with it, because the cards are like, the book itself does guide you a bit on how to use it. But it is also, we spoke to some of the people on the team for Session Zero at PAX, and they were like, it's very freeform, and you can just kind of give and take and use it how you want. You can go just based on vibes with the artwork.
Yeah, which I definitely ended up doing. Like, I rolled the dice, and I was like, I don't want those. I want these pretty cards.
Correct.
And so I picked like all the ones that were like pink and purple and all that jazz.
Yeah, the bisexual cards.
Yes. It's never far from us.
But yeah, you can very much freeform, but we're going to try to go with how the book tells you to use it.
Yes.
For the purpose of making some characters.
Yes. And I should note, before we jump in, like as I was re-flipping through the book to like remind myself how the system actually works, there are a lot of cool like there's a whole section on TTRPG safety tools, which like that was our first episode I think we ever put out on the internet. So like, we love that. And like there's things like finding the mood and the tone and like advice on running games and like different ways to use the system. It's a really cool little compact thing that I feel like you could just play around with and just make up new imaginary friends, or you could use for like starting games.
Correct. Yeah. I love it because it's like a much more involved version of like what I used to do with character creation, because it like largely when I first started playing D&D, I didn't know where to begin when it came to like making characters or imagining what my character is like as a person.
Yeah, or like how they fit into the world and all
so
that.
Like a little thing I used to do was taking like the flaws, ideals, and bonds.
Yeah.
And I would look through those after I've like selected class, ancestry, and what otherwise. And like when I look through those, I picked some and then I started to like mold the character around those prompts.
Yeah.
So this is like a way more involved
and in-depth
and aesthetically pleasing.
Yes.
Because like the art is
gorgeous. Yeah, it's like a very pretty. There are 3 very pretty tarot decks, to be honest. Like the art is fantastic. Yeah, it's like I've done the same thing with like the D&D Beyond, like but like those same like 8 flaws and like those get stale. Yeah, after a while.
Yeah, and you need a little something new. And this is like 3 whole decks worth of stuff. Yeah, let's get started. So the first one is the legacy ones, correct?
Yes. Do you want me to read the little?
Yeah, sure. Read it to us.
Okay. So the little description is, this path represents the many ways in which your character's story could begin. What people and places do they hail from? What traditions and customs started shaping them from the very start? What framework or cultures did they grow up with that still influence them today? A person can become who they are because of or despite their origins. When choosing from these fragments, keep this in mind and decide not only what influences were there at the start, but how those factors impacted your character and what unique choices they made in the face of them. So you can either randomly select one fragment and answer the questions it poses, then return to the fragment deck, or alternatively select 3 at random and choose one that feels right for the character you are building. So I think for this, since it's totally random, we're just going to let the dice decide.
Yeah. So we roll 3 times and pull those out and then decide for one, right?
So there's 2 ways to do it.
Okay.
We can either just roll once and see what we get, or we could roll, which I guess we could do like a best of 3 situation, like roll and see what the first one is, and then if we're like, I don't like that, then we roll 2 more times, or we just take the challenge of making do with what the dice bot gives us. Let's do that for the character, and then when we do the world, we'll give ourselves more, and we'll choose. Okay.
So yeah, the challenge of whatever the fuck you get.
You get what you get. You don't throw a fit.
Okay, fair enough. I'll tuck my brat away.
Yeah, you have better luck with dice bots than me, so.
I mean, supposedly, Roll20 has not been favorable to me.
This is lately. Just the Google dice bot. Like, this is just a random bitch that we don't know.
We're at the level playing field here. Okay, I got 11.
Okay, 11.
So let's find her.
That's a fine legacy. That's a fine number.
Yeah, slightly above average, some would say.
It's correlated with knowledge, so there are worse places to start.
Yeah.
Slightly. Should they all be in order? Yes, I moved. So are they in order? Probably not. Because when I opened the box, half of them had fallen into other decks, and I just got mad, and I started just, like, stuffing them back in their thing.
So I have knowledge, which the art is stunning, of course. It's like a really pretty library with like morning sunlight and then a character reading a book with like a spectral cat on the...
That's really cute.
Oh, it's so cute. Okay. Yeah. So knowledge. Give it to me.
Okay. So you were raised as a student at a grand school and received an education many envy. What was your chosen field? Who were your most loved or feared teachers? How did these teachings open your eyes? And what subjects were you prevented from delving deeper into? This is a solid one.
Ooh, okay. This is fun because I never pick like academic characters.
That's all. That's my whole. That's my whole brand. Because that was me in school.
Okay, so let me see here. What was my chosen field?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's hard. I want to say they're like a little bit like forbidden knowledge kind of stuff. Like
a little dark artsy.
Little dark artsy, little magic that is less savory but somewhat necessary.
Maybe necromancy?
Maybe necromancy, or like there was something I was seeing on TikTok the other day, and it was like you might know this. It's like a series where someone becomes like a void mage or something, or a void magic user.
But I want it.
But the thing is like they slowly start going insane. Or
Like-
like all void mages go insane eventually. So I'd love to.
That's cool. I like that.
Yeah, I'd love to dive into like something like whether they are one or not. They might be studying that kind of magic to see if there's a way to prevent people from going mad.
They're in like Look into the Abyss 102.
Correct.
And they haven't really like gotten into it.
So I think that's kind of their chosen field. Who were your most loved or feared teachers?
Cthulhu.
It's
just
Big
Cthulhu.
Daddy. Yeah. No. My most loved or feared teachers. I think the feared teacher would be something similar to that like Leonin teacher I have in Strixhaven, where they're like an order keeper.
Yes.
And they have like a very strict like compass of what is right and wrong and no gray area. And because I work in the gray area, I feel like there's a lot of tension there.
Yeah.
And they're kind of like always on my ass. And they make my life difficult when I'm trying to get into like a restricted section of the library to look up something I'm probably not supposed to.
They've got like a magical air tag on you. And
Correct.
They know when you're...
They're always somewhere and I'll be like talking shit. And then I'm like, he's right behind me. Yeah, absolutely. Something like that. And a most loved teacher, I feel like there is some kind of like older lady who's a little kooky professor, and she kind of is like more in like the horticulture department, and she definitely has a fixation on poisons.
Maybe she was like a hag, but she reformed.
Incredible. Yeah. I love that. I love her. And I just developed some kind of kinship with her.
Like she's a hag that got bored, but she's told no one she's a hag. They just think she's really good.
Correct. I have my suspicions, but nothing has been confirmed.
Yeah. You'll never know.
I just know she gives me tea and sometimes it makes my mouth feel spicy. But I don't die.
Cold spicy. It's just mint.
Yeah. How did these teachings open your eyes? I want to say I probably started studying because someone close to me found out that they were some kind of like void magic user. And like, so you know that there's like a timer on that shit. And you know that like eventually they might go mad.
I was waiting for it to get sad. If it didn't get sad soon, I was going to make it sad.
I'm going to force you to be sad. No. So I think it's like someone is close to me that has been identified as a void magic user. And the reason I went to study is so that I can hopefully try to prevent it from happening. And I think, the deeper I'm delving, the more I'm uncovering some kind of like mystery about the relationship of like void magic. And it's
like why people go insane.
Correct. But yeah.
I like that.
Cool.
I like that a lot.
I love that. Okay. So
next is Bond. So for Bond, it says, this path provides an archetype to represent the different kinds of people who may have had the most lasting impact on your character's life thus far. They could be important figures in the community, a passerby, a close acquaintance, or someone they have never seen in person. So kind of like touchstones in BTM.
Okay.
These can be as intimate and personal or as formal and distanced as you want. Someone can just as easily change your life from next door as they can from a world away. Keep distance in mind and whether this person is aware of your character or not. They may play a pivotal role in your story, but are you even a footnote in theirs? Perhaps not yet.
Cool. Okay. So I'm going to roll 5.
Okay. Ooh. The fragment for that is elder.
Ooh.
Which feels
good.
Yeah, it feels good.
Feels good. Let me find number 5. She's somewhere in here. Oh, there she is. Elder. Oh, she's so cute. It is quite literally just like a village elder, but it is like an old lady, but she looks like a barbarian of some kind. And she's got like a bunch of youngins surrounding her and they're like so happy. There's like a little orc boy, a little tabaxi, a little tiefling.
Aw.
It's very cute.
That is very cute.
I love this. Okay. So, all right.
Alrighty, let's see. A person of great authority with the ear of many. How did you first catch their eye? What happened to show them your untapped potential and importance? How do they choose to invest in you? What good or ill have you seen them do? And has your opinion of them changed with time?
Okay. Let me take a look. Where am I? Elder. Okay. How did I first catch their eye? I think I came from, I think me and the person that I'm trying to save.
That is like affected by the
Yeah,
void
I'm gonna say
magic.
we were like childhood friends, little
Mhm.
rapscallions together all the time. And I think like I've always been very curious, like a
Yes.
very curious kid getting into shit that I'm not supposed to be
Mhm.
getting into. Elder, I think, is definitely like where magic is not that prevalent in our little culture, tribe,
Yeah.
town, whatever you want to call it. The people that do practice are typically like the village elder or like the shaman or
Yes.
some kind of thing. I'm thinking very much like Dragon Age, like the keeper
Yeah.
amongst the Dalish.
They're like, hey, there's like a well or there's a monolith or there's something.
Yeah.
And they're like, hey, don't be near that.
Correct. And so I think I first caught their eye because, yeah, I think I must have heard something about either the history of our town or the keeper themselves. And I think I snuck into like the keeper's hut.
Yeah, like you heard like a legend or
Yeah.
something, and then it's like, I'm gonna go find that
Yeah.
spell, that grimoire,
Yeah.
that spell book,
Correct.
like whatever.
And I think the keeper just fully caught my
Yeah.
little rapscallion ass red-handed. And my friend was supposed to be keeping like
On watch.
but failed miserably. And I think we were caught in that moment. I think the how they saw my untapped potential and importance, I think maybe like where other people saw my curiosity as like a little bit of a nuisance and getting me in trouble and things like that, they saw something like worth cultivating.
Yes.
So instead of like denying me the knowledge, they felt it was better to like start teaching me about certain things.
It's like, I'll take you under my wing.
Yeah, and maybe like a little spark of like, oh, this might be the next keeper type deal. So I need to like take on an apprentice, start showing them a little bit of the ropes. And I like a dry little plant, just like sucked it all up.
I like that.
That's how they chose to invest in me, I think, is they initially, I think, were trying to make me be the next keeper of the village or whatever. And that's how they started to kind of like give me some sort of apprenticeship. What good or ill have you seen them do? I think they largely do good in the like village by other people. And that's like their whole purpose is like, you know, like you heal people when they're sick and all that other stuff. I think they maintain a lot of like the oral history of like our culture and stuff and like pass it down. But I do think that like a little bit of the ill is that like, again, I'm going to draw from like Dragon Age because that's just in my
very
DM.
top of mind as we're
very top of mind right now with Veilguard, and
as we're counting down the chewing about the bars.
At the bars of my enclosure,
scratching the days into the wall.
But very like Meryl from Dragon Age 2, where she was also having a tutelage to be the next keeper. But I like to think that the keeper themselves was like kind of delving into something a little bit darker, or at least trying to they discovered something that might be dangerous, but they wanted to study it.
Like there's an aspect to that keeper or that shamanic role where it's like, yes, some of it is like treating people and taking care of horse hooves and things like that, and some of it is like deeper, potentially riskier spiritual work or research where it's like, oh, that wasn't for you to be doing. It probably wasn't something you fully understood.
Oh, I'm fully going to blend the two. So I'm going to blend a little bit of Origins and a little bit of Dragon Age 2.
Okay.
So where like in Dragon Age 2, Meryl is like fucking around with an Illuvian.
Yes.
And stuff like that. And using blood magic to do so. I think in this version, it would really be the keeper that is doing that. And they're kind of starting to let me in on like what they're doing. Or they probably tried to like not have me know, but I'm a curious rapscallion. I got a little close. And I think I told
You're like, no, my arm's not cut open over the ceremonial bowl. What do you mean?
Yeah.
Crazy.
But I think, no, I like that. I think I started catching on that like they were going out late at night or something like that. And so I followed them one night, saw them kind of studying this thing in like a cave somewhere that's like tucked away and hidden. And I went and got my friend one night and was like, hey, there's this thing. I want to go check it out. And they came with me. And I think somehow accidentally my friend like
got
something
by some, yeah.
And that's how they got access to the void magic.
But it also like kind of infected them almost.
Correct. Yeah. So I think there's like, I think that's probably like the driving force behind me trying to study to fix them,
like
because I
guilt
feel responsible for that. Let's see. How has your opinion of them changed with time? Maybe like before them initially catching me, they played kind of a similar role as everybody else in the village, where they were like, I'd get punished and the elder was the person that had to like,
it's like, oh yeah, come now, like
chastise me or whatever. But then once we developed like that closer relationship, I really looked to them as like a mentor type deal. And I think that's kind of how that evolved over time.
Yeah, I like that.
I love this. Okay.
This is going well. You're going to have to play this baby.
I do.
One more deck.
And
it's the messed up one. This is the catalyst. So this path gives options for the event that caused your character to set out on their journey or embark on a new adventure. Unlike the others, these are a bit different. Each comes as a pair with a constructive and destructive option to choose from. Not every rogue needs a tragic backstory. That's a fair call out, you know? These can affect a local area or the world at large. Your character can have heard of this event or experienced it themselves, and either can be an equally impactful choice. You're meant to select only one of the two offered fragments from the prompt to answer, which I think for the single character, let's do that. And then when we build the world, we kind of use both.
Yeah.
And I kind of like integrating both when we have a little more space.
Yeah. Sick.
Okay, so keep in mind timing when integrating these paths into your backstory. The amount of time that has passed since the event, as well as how long the event took to unfold, greatly influences the impact it has on your character. Use time as a way to set the tone of this impact, which is also fair. It's like, is it fresh or is this something
that happened long ago?
Yes. So like you've kind of talked about that event, which could be a catalyst, but it's like, has something else happened
as a result
through your like kind of dawdling with the void?
Yeah. Sick. Okay. So let's roll. I got 8.
Boop, boop, boop. Oh no.
Oh no. I don't think that. Why'd you say oh no?
Because the options are a friend is lost and enemy pardoned.
No! What do you mean? Hold on. I want to find it. There we go. Yeah. A friend lost and enemy pardoned.
And if I know you like I know you, I know which one you're gonna say.
Because I'm here for the trauma.
Yeah, we all are.
Okay. So I have an extra card. Put her away. A friend lost, an enemy pardoned. There's definitely like some kind of armored angelic figure in the background. And then in the foreground, there is like a blonde, also armored, but they have like arrows stuck in their back and they have horns coming out. And there's steps with candles all melted everywhere. It looks gorgeous. Very cathedral. Very.
Oh, that's really cool.
Very divine.
It's almost like a split between, like, if you think about, like, ASMRs, like, a fallen ASMR versus a unfallen. Like, still angelic.
Still angelic.
ASMR, TM, ASMR.
Yeah, celestial.
So, there we go.
Okay, sick. Okay, so
we can either pick one of these. So, a friend is lost. They are gone with no warning and no means of being saved. Who are they most dear to? What is rumored to be the reason they were lost? Who feels their absence most harshly? Are there those glad to be rid of them? Who is left behind, wanting answers as to what happened? Or an enemy pardoned? It is done so against the advice of many. Who was granted this grace, and what were their misdeeds? What is the argument for and against such leniency? What happens when they escape justice in these lands? What cycle is attempting to be broken by this? So that's interesting, because and all of these really could go either way.
Let's see. They are no warning, no means of being saved. See, like, I'm more drawn to a friend is lost.
Yeah.
Because of just the narrative that we've like already kind of built.
Yeah, that's what I immediately saw and was like, oh no.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I'm going to lean towards a friend is lost. I want to say Yeah, like them becoming consumed by the void or like being infected by it and whatever. I want to say there's like an element of like where normally maybe they do go insane over time. Maybe whatever they came in contact with made it happen very rapidly.
Or because they were young.
Yeah, or because they were young.
They had less of a tolerance to it.
Yeah, and they kind of went insane or became an abomination right from the jump.
Yeah.
And I like to think of it as like, yeah, like the person that's my mentor, the keeper, kind of walked in on the scene when it happened. And
like maybe it was a matter of months from like, instead of years, from like point of infection to fully gone.
Either that or like it happened immediately.
Like instantaneously.
And like, and the keeper had to like basically lock them in this cave so that they wouldn't like come out to the rest of the village.
And like infect more people.
Yeah. Like, and so that might be kind of like the massive guilt I bear is that I know that my friend is currently trapped.
Oh, I like that.
In this like state.
Because it's also the keeper's like embroiled in that with you. And then it's like, well, what happened to that friend's like family? Like where are they like little Susie didn't come out of the woods? Like
correct. You know, like did we tell them the truth? Or I
probably not. No.
Yeah, I think the keeper probably helped me do a cover up situation. And because it's like if we make them aware that this exists, then more people could be harmed.
Right.
Yeah. And
you're trying to find a solution to it, but it's kind of
the people that feel the absence most harshly would probably be his family, like presuming him dead. We maybe even had to like go as far as to like have some kind of funeral or something.
Yeah, you had a search party for him and like it turned up nothing. You assume he just got chomped by something in the forest or whatever.
I don't think there's anybody that's glad to be rid of them because again, we were like children. Who was left behind wanting answers? I want to say maybe like they had a brother or something, like an older brother that like
knows something's up,
knows he hasn't gotten the full truth and is maybe like consumed by the search for his brother because no body's been found,
and like vanished without trace. There was you didn't find a shoe, you didn't find blood, like nothing. They just disappeared.
And I think he's known me long enough to know when I'm like hiding something, so there's like a little bit there that kind of makes up for that. Okay, cool.
I like that.
And I feel like the keeper probably like sent me away to like whatever this magic institution is. Yeah. Because I'm not going to be able to find the answers there.
I think it's probably also, it's to do research and also for your protection. Because like the keeper's probably more capable of lying or like withholding truths than you are as like a child who has
but
like
the keeper
lost
also
a friend.
Can't leave our village.
Right.
So
it's like you're a liability the longer you're here. And it would also benefit you to have more education.
Yeah. So that's probably what literally catalysts my character into going on that whole like journey.
I like that. I like that a lot.
Hell yeah.
Okay.
I love them. Okay.
This is very fun.
Okay. So now I'm going to do it for you.
Yes.
Right? Let's go back to Legacy.
Yes. All right. We'll just re-roll if we have the same numbers come up.
15.
15. Okay.
Ooh. Outcast.
Yeah, it would be that one would be the angsty one for me, wouldn't it? I know who I am.
Perfect.
Ooh, this is I'm playing Inquisition right now, so everything is being filtered for that. This is a very Dragon Age coded, like Red Templar coded card.
Red Lyrium card?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it is I'm assuming it's lava. It's either lava or is a truly outstanding amount of blood. So I'm going to assume it's lava.
An egregious amount of blood.
Yeah, just coming from the top of the mountain. Maybe a bit of both. But there's like, it looks like some kind of warrior with like this very ornate armor, ornate helmet that is kind of like fallen to their knees on this patch of rock that is not covered in lava. And there's some kind of like skeleton situation, like a rib cage.
Yeah, and like some kind of animal skull.
Something on there with them. Yeah, so it's like, I don't know if this is like a failed battle or if this is like a religious site or what exactly is going on here, but it's probably nothing good.
Alrighty, so outcast. You were exiled at a young age and had to make your own way. What things did you do to survive? Why were you made to leave? How did the need to rely entirely on yourself change you? Where was your home before? And is there anyone you miss still? If you want to look at it.
Yeah. 15. Okay. I think in the vein of like weird quasi-magical things, I think they're probably my character like grew up in a community that was surrounded like a dormant volcano. And so obviously there were a lot of spiritual practices and stuff around that and keeping the volcano dormant and like, hey, if we appease the gods, then they won't kill us all with the lava. Yeah. And so that was sort of their boogeyman story, I guess. And so why were they exiled at a young age? I think they did something, went to a part of like the mountain they shouldn't have been on. And it just so happened that there was like a level of eruption there. I don't think it was big enough to destroy the whole community, but I think it did
start stirring the volcano.
Like start stirring it, and like it became where it was encroaching on them. And so they took that as like, oh, you've angered the gods, so you gotta go.
I'm just imagining, have you ever seen that TikTok of those dumbass like guys that went to like on a hike to a dormant volcano in Hawaii or something, and they threw a fucking rock into it, and so that, you know, broke the part of the dormant volcano, and like as lava does, it started erupting out of the gap, and it made the whole thing active.
That's horrifying that it was that close to the edge.
Yeah.
It feels like there should be a little more leeway.
No, it was like deep in there, and they were like videotaping from on high, but someone just tossed a fucking like heavy ass rock in there.
Still.
Yeah.
So.
Wild.
Like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I've not seen that, but that is wild. Like, I've been to Hawaii. I didn't do those hikes. There are some hikes where it's like, that's not for people.
I don't need to be that.
That's a 400 foot. It's a 400 foot drop on one side and a 600 foot drop on the other. That's not for you. Why is your golden retriever up there? Go home.
No.
Stop it. So, what things did you do to survive? So, why are you ready to leave? Pissed off the lava gods. What things did you do to survive? How did the need to rely entirely on yourself change you? I think they were like from a very close knit community, and so like growing up, they were very open and very trusting and very communicative, like as you need to be to like live in a very, maybe you didn't say, it was probably like a very matriarchal society. So it's like that those types of societies like promote you. Things go better if you talk and you cooperate.
Crazy.
And stuff. Crazy how that goes.
Thought.
And so like it was not something that was done lightly, but it was something that like in that frame of worldview, they're like, well, we have to do something to appease this or we're all gonna die.
Yeah. And it was like watching your whole community like unanimously agree against you.
Yes.
Including your family.
And I'll even say like, yeah, her family was probably the leaders of the community. And so it is that like kind of a very almost like biblical thing of like, well, I'll make this sacrifice to like reestablish balance.
Like no one is above.
Yes.
Type thing.
And so I think it was a very obviously unmooring experience and very much like very quickly shifted their worldview, and they became very cynical and shut off and afraid to trust anyone. And, you know, just had thought that everything was going fine. To them, it feels like, oh, I made one mistake and I was cast aside. Yes. And it's like they have not had the brain space to unpack any of that. And so they just reacted did an entire 180. And then like, where was your home before? And is there anyone you still miss? So they kind of like where the house was. I think they would not admit to missing any of them, but they definitely secretly still miss their entire community, their family, like their way of life. I think probably who they miss most, if they're being honest, would be the version of themselves from before they were exiled.
I like that.
Or just like a more open, trusting, like a kinder person.
Looking at your younger self and being like, I wish I could hug you.
Yeah, just like a kinder being that had lived a kinder life.
Yeah.
And then like through the hardship you've endured, like you had to kill off that part of yourself.
To survive.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Cool.
Okay.
All right. We're going to go over to Bond. What you get? 1.
A 1. Okay.
Ally.
Interesting. Y'all are real out of order, huh? Ooh. Okay. Please go back in the box. So it looks like there's like, it's a mountainous landscape, and it seems like there's like a dwarven man and like a half-orc.
Yeah, he's got a little mohawk.
Man, yeah, like a half-orc mohawk man that like the half-orc's holding a torch and they're like going into
a cavern of some
kind. Like a cavern, a cave, like something. Yeah, some sort of cave network.
Sick.
Which is interesting.
Ally. An accomplice whose goals and desires are aligned with your own. What event made you realize the two of you were on the same side? When did you first come to their aid or they yours? What have you faced together thus far? What do you admire most about the other?
Okay, so again, I'm not stealing this from Dragon Age, but I just read one of the books, and like it's the Stolen Throne book, and like in that, like they're in the Deep Roads, like they run into the Legion of the Dead, which is like legion of like dwarves who like go and kind of just like sacrifice themselves and commit to being dead, quote unquote, to give their life fighting the Darkspawn to like clear their family's debts. So I think taking little scattered little fragments of that, I think it probably was like, for the most part, the community that my character is from, there probably was a community of like dwarven people who like live in the mountain. And sort of the same way of like the dwarves are like terrified of the sky, like the humans being terrified of lava. It's like, that's just part of the mountain. Like, why are you tripping?
Just mountain blood.
Yeah, that's mountain juice. We use that for light because, you know, they're affected differently if there is like an eruption or something. So I think those two communities, like for the most part in my character's lifetime, had fairly peaceful accords. There probably were more clashes traditionally, like when the surface dwellers sort of moved in. And in my character's sort of initial, when they're thrown out of their community with like a rucksack and a dream.
Yeah.
And they're just wandering the mountains that is like getting into the dwarves' territory. I think they were probably found by like a forward scout or something. They're like, what you doing here, bud? And they were maybe like they almost got murked by something that just lives in the mountains, some animal. And then they kind of got brought back to the camp and just explained in like that very childish desperation of like, I need help because I will die if I'm left out here by myself. Because that probably was like half the purpose of its thing of like, I will sacrifice you to the mountain and then like you won't make it. And that's why it will appease the deity. Yeah. And so they were, I think, taken in by this like dwarven community and helped them because like in their own rage against their own place of origin, like definitely fed any information, any secrets, anything that they could
to make themselves like
to get
used.
Yes. And like just tried to ingratiate themselves as much as they could.
Yeah. Is there a specific person, like a specific character you feel like you got attached to?
Was it a 1? I'm on the way wrong page. I think probably the like forward scout that initially found them, like probably as they grow up, like he kind of rises through the ranks and becomes, you know, more important. And I think they stay quite close. And like my character views that forward scout as kind of a savior and as someone who like kept them from dying, basically. Yeah. And then, so like, what do you admire most about the other? I think it's probably tenacity for different reasons. Like, for my character, I think admires the like physical tenacity of their friend and also just the dwarven people in general to live successfully and fruitfully in this incredibly harsh environment. And then I think there's a level of an admiration for like the emotional tenacity this dwarf has for like, it's like, damn, that's a raw deal.
Yeah.
Like you've made, like it would have been easier to just lay out on the rocks and get eaten. But you didn't. And there's something there.
Yeah. I dig that.
I like that. Okay.
All right. On to your pass list.
Nothing can go wrong.
Nothing can go wrong.
15 again.
Again. I gotta flip to another page for her. A dynasty diminished.
Ugh.
Rough, buddy. Or
Okay.
a hero emerges.
Okay. So my reaction.
So the dwarves that I just like found family with.
So my reaction was to the image, which is like this card is all black and gray, and there's a crown that's kind of disintegrating, and then in sort of the prongs of the crown, there's like two warriors that sort of rise from it. One is in like a full sort of like Western set of like plate armor with the sword, and the other is in something that appears to be just more either like leathers or bone armor or something with like a pretty large spear in their hands, and they're sort of just floating in the pieces of this disintegrating, shattered crown.
Okay, sick. So, a dynasty diminished. All things, even empires, eventually come to an end. Whose story came to a close and what moved them to finally fall? What does this absence of order bring about in the surrounding regions? Who felt this power vacuum the hardest? What new structures of power were built up after this collapse? Who benefited the most from such turmoil? Or, a hero emerges. Asked for naught, they have arrived. What challenge do they set themselves against? Why did they choose to act when others did not? Is there something that makes them particularly well suited to this challenge? What order or chaos did their actions bring about? What is public opinion of them? Were they victorious, or is their fate not yet decided?
Yeah, so it's like, do we do the hero's journey, or do I just make them worse? And I'm drawn toward the latter.
As always.
To just go full chips in on making it worse. So I think I'm gonna do a dynasty diminished and just say, as my character gets older, I think tensions between the dwarven community and the community of their birth grow worse. And sort of like it is kind of too, I think it's like a more human, like storytelling kingdom and then like a dwarven kingdom. And because like the dwarves start making a plan to just wipe out that human kingdom and sort of using the mountains, like the lava that is in the mountains, that they probably have some degree of control over, like the stone and things, to where they can weaponize it and use it in a war. And like, I think there is a point where my character has
like a conflict of interest there.
Well, so no. I don't think until after it's done there's any like reconciliation of what they are doing until like everything has been reduced to like rubble. But it's like, I think there's a point where like they're confronted with having to make a choice. Like maybe there's like an envoy from the community, and like one of their childhood friends kind of tries to come to parley with the dwarves and like sees them there, and there's a bit where it's like, oh, should I warn them that they're playing? Because they thought they were in a fight, like a field, we get in lines and we march kind of war, or even like a guerrilla warfare war. It's like, no, should I tell them that they're just planning to like hack open that mountain and like let the liquid rock flow? And they don't. And they feel and like they know that like they're sentencing them all to die. They will die badly. And they do it. And then I think after it happens, there's a point where like you can hear the screams from up in the mountains. Yeah. And that is the first moment where they remember that those were people that did once love them and that they once loved. And they start thinking about it a little bit more.
Yeah. I love that because it feels like it comes very full circle back to the original image of your outcast card. Because it does look like them going back to the lava, seeing the bones, and then falling to their knees. And
like realizing what happened.
Yeah. I love that. I love that a lot.
I like that too.
That's so sick.
This was so fun.
Yeah. So now you guys got to see a little bit of session 0 and how it works. There's so many.
So many
cards in this deck, and they're all such amazing prompts to just kind of like ask you the right questions to really make a fully like kind of fleshed out character before you start.
Yeah, there are 20 cards in each deck to obviously correspond with like the D20.
Yeah.
So bunch of combos. I'm not gonna. You could do that math at home.
Yeah,
if you want to do that.
We're not the math girlies here, and everybody knows it. We established that very early in this podcast.
Yep, I'm not gonna humble myself by trying to do that.
But yeah, so now you see a little bit of how it works. Again, it is also something that you can completely like go with what feels best for you. We've done that ourselves.
We just like you can look at like spread them. When we played it, we spread all the decks out like in a row, and then
you can kind of see all the images and start kind of picking on vibes.
Yep.
And next time, I think we'll show y'all how we kind of make up our own rules to use this for world building purposes. But otherwise, it is time to bid you adieu. Thank you so much for joining us for yet another episode of Table Talk, and we will see y'all next time. Bye!
Table Talk is a podcast brought to you by Mythos Media Productions, bringing you a new episode every Wednesday, wherever you get your podcasts. Find us on Instagram and TikTok at Table Talk RPG, or check us out at our website, mythosmediaproductions.godaddyscites.com. All business inquiries can reach out to us via email at info@mythosmediaproductions.com.